So, part two of this, I wanted to explain I did modify my burn chamber. I had the Venturi added in the backside, that pre-combustion cup, where it actually spreads the air out to the side of the screens on each side to atomize the fuel. So, that being said, when I did run it, I run it in low and I got a flame out. So what happens is it just shut right down. It wasn't enough air volume to go through there to pull the fuel through the Venturi, plus keep the flame going. So what I ended up doing is disassembling it again. On that tube itself, I left the tube in but removed the Venturi and just left it as a drip tube. So it'd be like everybody else. What they're trying to do is they're trying to drip in there and get it to burn. So I did that, ran it for 6 hours, burnt the same amount of fuel. Didn't matter if I used my port or the stock port on there for burning. It did run a little bit rich, I would say, on the line because I had more soot. The active fuel management were controlling everything, so it did run for that 6 hours and ran fine. I disassembled it. We do have some soot buildup and so forth in there. And now I've got a little bit more of an idea on what I need to do. So I'm looking at modifying this burn chamber. What I want to do is for the average person to go through and have almost the hardware to do the modification without a lot of machining or strange parts. So actually what I'm using copper line, which is 1/8 inch copper line you get at the AC shop, and I'm using a 3D printer tip. So that tip has got a 0.4 millimeter orifice in it. So essentially, it's any 3D printer shop will have this tip. Mind you, it is for the 2.85 millimeter filament, not the 1.75 millimeter filament. So that way, the line would fit right inside of the tip itself. So what I ended up doing, and I'll show you these pictures here, is I run a test with diesel fuel, 030, 530, and gear oil, 7590. It'd be interesting to see what it does do, because my spray pattern was different on each one, but I actually found a sweet spot because I could adjust the pulse width or the hertz of the pump itself to get an efficient spray. And what I found is between 2.5 and 3.5 hertz is where I got the best spray on all fluids. So to start, that's at least an idea on what I can do to start doing a complete burn. But let's continue on. Let's go straight to the point, and I'll show you some pictures here that I've got, what I did on disassembly, and some small videos in regards to how it sprayed and what pattern it had, and you can see what different fuels do in that small 0.4 millimeter orifice that it's spraying out of. This is with a stock pump, nothing strange, no enhanced pumps or anything else, just a regular pump running at standard pump hertz. So take a look, tell me what you think. Well guys, proof of concept. Got it switched over, a little bit of a, had to plug it off because I noticed that once I've removed my unit, the pump line off the stock feed, then applied to my secondary one, which is my Venturi, I actually had vapor coming out of there, and we actually had pressure of the fan coming out of there. So I put a plug in there, so I have to find a little bit more adequate thing than that. But does it work? It works. Nope, flamed out. Oops. My exhaust fell off. Smoky. That's what happens when you're doing trials. All right, attempt number 3. Just gonna fire it up again. What happened is I did have it running, and it was running off the Venturi, and then I brought it down to probably about 1500 RPM, and then it flamed out. And now I am restarting my process of trying to start it up again. So hopefully this time we'll have it. Last time I took it to the max speed and temperature and then swapped out the pump, and then I was able to do the swap without having any issues. This time I was trying to do it on lower speeds, and I think that's what my problem was. So since I don't have the diesel running through there, I can, in the future, if I'm going to swap out and run multiple fuels, what I can do is I'll take and I will leave the fuel pumping, and then I can swap and then start adding in the alternative fuel instead of shutting it right off like I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to do proof of concept in that Venturi to see if it'll actually run on the Venturi, and see what the burn chamber looks like after I'm done running on the Venturi. So that's the means of what I'm trying to do. Oh, it looks like she's starting to start up again. Well, here we go again. I get the timing just right. As soon as I get this module dual pump output, I think this problem will be resolved. I added a line so I can just switch it to pump instead of try to fish underneath the unit. This is attempt number 5. This time I'm going to clean it out. I flooded it out pretty good. We had some smoke happening in here. Thank God these things are robust. She was running great the first time I swapped it over, but as soon as I turned her down, probably to about, I don't know, 33%, that's when she flamed out. Attempt number 6. I'll get my timing right. I did have proof of concept that the Venturi did work, but I will have to set this up right. Either that when a pulse width gets too low, it turns off the alternative fuel and runs straight off of diesel, or I do a blend where we mix diesel and the oils. But I gotta get this thing clear flooded. I think I've flooded her out so many times that we'll let her heat up and get running first before I introduce the bypass it. Okay, I'm just going to crank it down to see if that burn chamber is capable of going to low. As long as it wasn't my Venturi, or if it was the modification I did to the burn chamber that inhibits it from going to running on low. Trying to see if it was sucking there, but it's not. The system's starting to work now. The O2 sensor is still alive. Imagine that. Being flooded out 6 times. Oh, 5 times. Bring her down. This is where this is where I was at, and it flamed out on me with the Venturi, because I think the fan is not going fast enough to pull the fuel in and atomize. Otherwise it just floods because it's not atomizing the fuel. No, looks like it's not the burn chamber for sure. does have a different sound. Morning, I'm back this morning. I got back to the unit, still running. We weren't running on the Venturi. I just wanted to do a clean out on it, let it run all night on temperature sense, so it went high and low all automatically. O2 sensor looks fairly clean, so it running rich and going to hell. Let me swap this light here. See it? There's the O2. This looks like it's living all right. So we're just going to disassemble it, change up the Venturi a little bit. I think it's a little high. Yeah. All right, we're back the next day, and we're going to try this again. I think the Venturi was causing us an effect that at low speeds that wouldn't atomize properly, not enough airflow. So I removed the Venturi, and we'll run with the pipe in there. A little bit deeper, more in the airflow. Hopefully it'll help it cycle properly between the two. So now I'm going to switch over to the other fuel, not the other fuel, but the other orifice, another feed tube, I guess it would be. There you go. Just waiting for the active fuel management to kick in. Still reading lean. I want it to fatten up. Let's see what we get here. Okay, we're starting to control now. Time to do the swap. Of course, we're doing this crude right at the moment. Keeping it basic, keeping it simple. Oh, don't flame out on me. Oh, catch. Mine had some air in it. Keep it going. Well, looks like we've got the secondary port that's working fine. I did have to modify what I had in there for a secondary port. I had to remove the Venturi. Causing too much air restriction, and there was not enough airflow to pull the fuel through. So if I turned down the fan speed, I would flame out. So what I ended up doing is removing the Venturi, and now we're running management, and it burns about the same, 1.5 liters. Yeah, 1.5 liters for every 6 hours. So room temp at 28 degrees. So yeah, 6 hours, 10 minutes. It ain't too bad. Running off my secondary port. The primary one is disconnected. We're running off the secondary port. So, what I should do in theory is disassemble this and take a look inside. See what I got. Well, this is the end of part 2. I wanted to get more in depth of what I was going to do for the second or third stage of what I was going to do from the drip tube to the actual little orifice. But stay tuned for that. That'll be on part 3. Otherwise, this video will drag on a little bit longer than I wanted it to drag on to. So, like I say, with the results of with this orifice that I've got and the information that I got from it, I find it really interesting. So stay tuned for part 3. I'll break down of what we're going to do to change that burn chamber, and we may be able to see what we're doing to that burn chamber on the third video. So stay tuned for the results of what the little orifice does with different fuels, different oils, and we'll go from there. So on part 3. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, give me a like and subscribe if you want to get the latest videos, and thanks for watching. Pump rate's at 6.1.